question that we're going to bring to our Rachel. Hey, Rachel, what does hurricane season typically look like here in the Carolinas this time of year?
Well, I went back and looked at some of the data of some of the historical tracks for the Carolinas and seeing when we actually have been impacted in the month of November. When you look all the way back to the 1800s, and I found 5 tropical systems that have impacted the Carolinas. You'll see the latest one, that was Nicole back in 2022. The earliest was actually an unnamed storm before they started naming these systems. That was back in 1861. So not too frequent when you look at all of that data for that potential of a November storm. But of course, it only takes one, and there's still that chance. So if something were to develop, when you look at the number of named storms per 100 years and where they've developed, you get about 10 to 29 that would develop in these regions that you see outlined in purple on your screen, from the Caribbean into the southern Gulf and extending out into the Atlantic basin up towards Bermuda, and then a little bit further east right off the western coast of Africa. But these chances are certainly dropping as we get further and further into the month of November.
Yeah, but not impossible. We've seen them outside of hurricane season after all. Let's look back on the season that we've had so far. Tell us about maybe some of the trends you've seen, some of these storms that we did have named this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been interesting to watch. So I've compiled all of the tracks that we've seen so far this year. I'm going to keep that zoomed in view just to show you what we've seen, at least here in eastern parts of the United States. And the Carolinas saw impact. You may remember Chantal brought all of that flooding rainfall mainly up towards the Greensboro, High Point area. We saw significant amounts of rainfall with that system that moved to the east. But when you zoom out and see the big picture, you'll notice a trend, likely the same one that I'm picking up on. Typically you get these storms to curve around the Bermuda area of high pressure, but that area of high pressure, I went back and looked at some of the data, compiled where it's been located since the start of hurricane season, and you notice a common theme where that's been centered. It's been far east enough and weak enough that when you get those storms to curve, around high pressure, you get those winds to rotate clockwise. You can see those arrows spinning on your screen, and that's just been steering most of these storms out to sea. Now, some of them certainly have brought some big time impacts. We have just seen that as well out towards Jamaica with Melissa last week, but even that storm curved right back out to sea. If this was a stronger area of high pressure and was further to the west, of course, that would drive the paths of some of these storms closer to the continental United States. So far we've been fortunate, but as I mentioned before, we are still in hurricane season, and Jamie, you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Even a storm could happen outside of hurricane season. It only takes one. We'll keep an eye on things, but so far nothing looks to be in development at this time, but we'll let you know if that changes.
Think about Sandy a few years ago. We know what that did.
Oh,
That
absolutely.
was in December, right, if memory serves. Rachel, thank you. All right, time now for a look at tonight's cover story.